I got uninvited from my mom's birthday because I didn't look good next to my sister's boyfriend. Turns out, I was actually his boss. I got uninvited to my mom's birthday because, apparently, I didn't look right standing next to my sister's boyfriend. The twist? I was actually the guy's boss. He stared me straight in the eyes and said, "If you're still planning to come home, then don't bother calling me your father." 3 weeks later, on my mom's birthday, the lights, water, and internet all went out at their house. That was no coincidence. Stick with me here, you might just see a bit of yourself in this story. Name's Luke. I'm 30 now and live in a small town, about a 40-minute drive outside of Seattle. Every morning, I fix myself a cup of coffee, check the weather, and take a short 10-minute drive to work. I help start a little tech company that works in sustainable energy. It's not flashy, but it's solid. Truth is, most folks, including my own family, don't quite get what I do. They still imagine me with a wrench, fixing machines and crawling under desks. I let them think that. It never bothered me enough to correct it. When someone brings up my parents or my sister Emily, I usually just smile a bit. "We haven't talked in a while," I'll say, and that's where I leave it. Not because I'm hiding something, just because I've grown tired of retelling it. It's been over 2 years since I last reached out to any of them. No texts, no calls, no birthday cards, nothing. Just silence. Like the bridge between us snapped, and no one bothered to rebuild it. I used to think that family was everything, that blood meant something. But 2 years ago, right around my mom's birthday, that belief fell apart. It started about 3 weeks before her birthday. I had just finished booking some time off work and was planning a short trip home. My plan was simple: arrive a little early, help set things up like I always did, and be there for her birthday. Nothing out of the ordinary. I picked up the phone and called home. My mom didn't answer, Dad did. He picked up after just a couple of rings. "Hey, I'll be home a couple of days early," I told him, trying to keep it casual. "Let me know if there's anything you need me to bring or help with." He gave a vague response at first, but then paused. When he spoke again, his voice sounded off, heavier, like he was carrying something he didn't want to say. "Luke, maybe it's best if you don't come home this year," he said slowly. I figured he was just thinking about how busy I might be. "It's no problem, Dad," I said, still holding my coffee. "I've cleared my schedule. I'm good." The next pause was longer. When he finally replied, his tone had shifted. It was colder. Firmer. "Emily's bringing her boyfriend this year. He's someone important. Knows how to speak well. Carries himself properly. And your job, it's just hard to explain to people. It'd be easier if you didn't show up." I felt my face go hot, like a wave of heat crawling up my neck. My heart started pounding, and I gripped my coffee tighter, trying to stay steady. "What did you just say?" I asked, my voice cracking a little. "Are you serious right now?" He didn't walk it back. Didn't try to soften the blow. His answer was direct and cold. "You coming home would just embarrass the family." Then he dropped the hammer. "If you insist I'm coming, don't call me your father." Click. He hung up. I lowered the phone slowly. My hand was damp with sweat and still shaking. The apartment was dead silent. No TV, no footsteps, nothing, just me, standing there, staring at nothing like I'd just been yanked out of reality. His words kept looping in my head, like a broken recording I couldn't turn off. "You coming home would just embarrass the family. If you still insist I'm coming, don't call me your father." For a second, I wondered if I'd misheard him. But no, every word had landed sharp and ice-cold. No slip, no doubt. My jaw clenched, and my throat tightened like something was stuck inside, refusing to move. And then the memories started pouring in, quiet ones, sharp ones. For over 2 years, I'd been the one secretly covering all their household bills, electric, water, internet. Never once did anyone ask. Never once did they say thank you. And now I was suddenly the black sheep of the family? I picked up my phone again, my fingers still a little shaky, though my head was starting to clear. I opened my banking app and scrolled through the history. I just needed to see the numbers. How much had I actually spent covering their living expenses? Power, water, internet, every single month. I paid it all without fail. Each bill automatically deducted like clockwork. Nearly $400 every month, for 2 full years. I scrolled to the bottom. The total read, $9,842.17. I stared at that number for a few seconds, not out of shock, but because something inside me had gone still. Not sadness. Not even anger. Just this quiet emptiness. Almost 10 grand, and I'm the one they call a disgrace? As I sat there looking at that long list of transactions, a question bubbled up in my mind, something no one had asked in all my years. Had Emily ever done anything close to this for our parents? It wasn't about jealousy. I wasn't trying to tally up points. I just genuinely wanted to know. If I'm the family's shame, what standard are we using to measure that? I had quietly covered nearly $10,000 in bills, never said a word, never asked for thanks. But what about her? Had she ever given up anything? Ever had to ask for help? Or did she just walk in, flash a smile, charm everyone in a cute dress with her boyfriend on her arm, and let that carry her? I wasn't bitter. I wasn't keeping score. I was just seeing things clearly for the first time. Fairness never seemed to have a seat at our table. Looking back, I realized I'd always been the one in the background. Always stepping aside, even when no one asked me to. In every family photo, I'm the one half hidden behind someone else, off to the side, barely in focus. Emily? She was the star of every major moment, birthdays, graduations, breakups. Whatever it was, she got the attention, the support, the hugs. Me? I can't even remember the last time anyone asked if I was doing okay. Emily's 2 years older than me, but our gap was never really about age. She was the one everyone pinned their hopes on, the golden child, always talked about proudly when the relatives came around. And me? If I even got a mention, it was brief and forgettable. Luke? Oh, he's doing okay. I think he works in tech or something. For the longest time, I figured if I just stayed out of trouble, kept my head down, and handled my business, they'd finally see me. But they didn't. The truth is, once people are used to not noticing you, they don't realize when you're gone. It was almost 2 years ago when I first started covering my parents' utility bills, electric, water, and internet. It all began with a call from my mom. She sounded tired, almost defeated. That day, she went on about how expensive everything had gotten, how their bills had suddenly jumped up, and how their retirement income just wasn't cutting it anymore. Then she said it, soft, careful, like she didn't want to scare me off. If you could help us out a little, it'd really mean a lot. I told her I would. At the time, I figured it was just temporary, maybe a few months tops, until they figured things out. But month after month, nothing changed. The story stayed the same. Nobody brought up stopping, and there was never any plan for the long run. Once in a while I'd ask, "Is Emily helping with any of this, Mom?" She'd always dodge the question. Sometimes she'd say, "Just help us this month, your sister will chip in next time." Other times it was, "Emily's handling your dad's medical stuff, she's got her hands full." I heard those lines so many times, I could say them in my sleep. And every time, I just nodded, smiled, and let it go, because deep down, I knew they weren't true. So I kept sending the money. Almost $400 each month, like clockwork. No fuss. No reminders. Just doing what felt right. It wasn't because I didn't care, it was because I thought it was the right thing to do. I used to believe that if I just kept showing up, kept doing the responsible thing, they'd finally recognize me. But after everything that's happened, they still looked at me like I was a disappointment. Eventually, the apartment went quiet around me, and I just sat there, sunk into the couch like I couldn't move. My phone was still in my hand. I wasn't angry anymore. I wasn't even hurt. What I felt was something else, something solid and clear. That's enough. Right then and there, I opened up my banking app. I scrolled down to where I had set up those automatic payments, for their electric, water, and internet. One by one, I tapped into each and canceled them. No hesitation. No drama. Not out of revenge. But because I needed to protect what little I had left, my dignity. The one thing they hadn't managed to take from me. About a week passed, and then I got a message from my mom. Her tone was the same soft, sugary one she always used. There was no mention of what had gone down. No apology. Nothing like that. Just, "Hey, the internet bill's due. Can you take care of it?" I stared at the screen for a while. Then I set the phone down. I didn't answer. Not to send a message, but because, after everything, that was the first thing they had to say. Another ask? No. "How are you?" Not even a, "Can we talk?" So I said nothing. And that silence, that was all the answer I needed to give. 2 weeks later, my dad called. Phone rang a few times, then stopped. I didn't pick up. A few minutes later, he left a voicemail. His tone was sharp, irritated, same as it's always been. "The power company called. This month's bill isn't paid. What's going on?" No concern. No mention of that last conversation where he told me not to call him Dad if I came home. I played the voicemail, turned off the screen, and placed the phone face down on the table. And that was it. I stayed quiet until my mom's birthday came around. Her birthday landed almost exactly 3 weeks after my dad told me not to come. The party went on like always, roast chicken, her favorite cake from the bakery, a handful of relatives gathering around the table. Everything was in place, except me. That afternoon, right at 4 p.m., I was sitting on my couch with a coffee that had long gone cold when my phone buzzed. It was my mom. I stared at her name on the screen for a few seconds, then set the phone down without answering. I didn't even have to think about it. A few minutes later, my dad called. Then Emily. 3 calls in under 10 minutes. I let them all ring out. I didn't feel curious, didn't feel the urge to respond. I just sat there, leaned back in the chair, watching the fog cloud the glass. Outside, the sky was a dull gray. No rain, but the air had that still, creeping cold that tells you winter's about to show up on your doorstep. Then the texts started rolling in, just 10 minutes after the calls. Mom went first. "Luke, the power's off. The whole house is dark. Please pay the bill." I read the message in silence. No anger. No shock. Just a steady emptiness rising in my chest. That quiet feeling you get when you've carried the weight of a family for years, and suddenly you're the only one left holding the load. Then came a message from my dad. "No water. We can't cook. Handle it now." And after that, Emily chimed in. "Internet's down. Guests are arriving. Please fix this urgent." I looked at the time, 5:12 p.m. And I remembered clear as day, I had cancelled all those payments exactly 3 weeks ago. Right after Dad told me not to come home. Not to call him Dad. And now, right in the middle of the party I wasn't invited to, everything started shutting down. Power. Water. Internet. All of it, gone, when they needed it most. I didn't call back. Didn't text. Didn't explain a thing. I just sat there, slowly turning that cold coffee mug in my hands, still looking out the window like I could see something far past the fog. And in that moment it hit me, they weren't calling because they missed me. They were calling because the person who used to carry the load was no longer there to do it. Around 6 p.m., my phone started buzzing again. Non-stop this time. But it wasn't my mom. Wasn't my dad. Wasn't even Emily anymore. It wasn't my parents or Emily blowing up my phone anymore. It was the extended family. The ones who only show up for holidays but still feel they've got the right to judge you like they've been there all along. The messages came in waves. One after another. Some folks went straight for the throat, calling me disrespectful without a second thought. One even said, "You humiliated your mother in front of the whole family." Another chimed in, not quite as loud but every bit as cutting. "Your sister was right. People like you shouldn't ruin a happy occasion." I read each message in silence, not because I agreed, but because I was just plain tired of trying to explain myself to people who always sided with the louder voices, no matter how wrong they were. I was about to set my phone down when the screen lit up again. It was Aunt Rachel, one of the few who still had any faith in me. She was video calling me through some old app that only the two of us still used. We stuck with it because, unlike the rest, we still cared enough to actually look each other in the eye when it mattered. I hesitated, then picked up on the second ring. Her face popped up first, a little washed out by the soft yellow light coming from the kitchen behind her, a place I knew better than the back of my own hand. I could picture every crack in the paint, every creaky drawer. But that night, something felt off. The background buzzed with clinking silverware, awkward laughter, and idle chit-chat. She looked straight at me through the screen, her eyes gentle but weighed down with concern. "You're really not going to pay it, are you, Luke?" she asked lightly, like she wasn't sure how to feel. I looked into her eyes, and when I finally spoke, my voice was slow, like I was dragging something up from deep down. "Auntie," I said quietly. "It was Dad who told me not to come. Told me that if I still showed up, I shouldn't call him my father anymore." She didn't say anything at first. Just went quiet, scanning the room behind her. And that's when the call erupted into chaos. I heard my mom's voice cut through the background noise. "Tell him I'm ashamed of him. On my birthday, of all days! How could he do this?" My dad barked loud enough for the mic to pick it up clear as day. "It's not that serious. Just some bills. What kind of man makes a big deal over money?" Then another voice, I think it was my uncle, grumbled. Poor Emily, stuck with a brother like that. I heard footsteps, then Emily appeared behind Aunt Rachel, arms crossed, face twisted in that familiar irritated pout. "He even picked up the call?" she snapped. "Mom's been crying all day. Does he even care? Seriously, he's got no shame." Still, I didn't say a word. I just watched. Kept still. Like silence was the only armor I had left. I was just about to hang up when someone new leaned into the frame from the side. A young guy in a dark suit, hair slicked back like he had a job interview in 10 minutes. He looked confused at first, eyes darting around, then offered a sheepish smile. Hey boss," he said, his voice a little scratchy, like he wasn't sure those words belonged in this moment. I froze. I stared at the screen, pulling the phone a little closer without even realizing it. My brain stalled for a second. I hadn't expected that. Not here. Not tonight. Not when I was supposedly too much of a disgrace to be invited. But the moment lingered, and slowly it started to make sense, his face, the way he talked. Of course. He was one of the newer hires from our southern office. We'd only traded a few emails, and he'd sent me a couple reports. I had no idea he was Emily's boyfriend, the one they were all so proud of. Suddenly, the room behind Aunt Rachel went quiet, like even the walls were holding their breath. I saw her glance over her shoulder, and then the whole kitchen seemed to erupt in confused whispers and scattered movement. Then someone near the camera whispered, "Wait, what did he just call Luke?" Another voice added, "Did he say boss? Is Luke Emily's boyfriend's boss?" The murmurs started rising like a wave, overlapping, confused, and very, very uneasy. And me? I just kept staring into the screen. Didn't nod. Didn't say no. Just waited. Then the guy straightened up, looked toward the crowd behind the camera, and said it loud and clear. In case no one mentioned it, I work for Pacific TerraTech. Mr. Luke's one of the co-founders. His voice sliced right through the background noise, clear, sharp, impossible to ignore. The room went still. Not awkward, just stunned. I still didn't speak. I pressed my lips together and gave a small nod. That was all. He looked back at me, his eyes wide. I met his gaze and finally spoke, slow and calm, like I'd been holding the words for the perfect moment. "Hope your big introduction goes smoothly." And with that, I ended the call. That night, I slept better than I had in years. No tossing. No waking up in the dark with old words echoing in my head. For the first time in a long time, I felt light. Not satisfied. Just seen. The next morning, before the light had even filled the room, I reached for my phone and started my usual routine, checking emails. A few meeting pings. Some budget comments. Then I noticed an unfamiliar sender, Tyler Brooks. I opened it, and right away the first line grabbed me. "I'm sorry, I didn't know you were Emily's brother. I've always respected you at work." I raised an eyebrow, leaned back into the pillow, and kept reading. Hudson explained that he was genuinely shocked to find out I was related to Emily. Then, without dancing around it, he wrote, "I didn't expect her to be like that. I'm going to end this relationship." He added, "Thanks for not putting me on the spot in front of everyone." I laid the phone against my chest, closed my eyes, and just sat with that for a bit. It took a few minutes, but I finally opened my inbox again and typed my reply, slow, plain, and direct. "Hudson, what you do is your business. I don't expect anyone to act a certain way just to stay in my good graces. Just make sure you think it through. And for what it's worth, I keep family and work separate." Then I hit send. No extra thoughts. No drama. Just peace. That was enough for me. Some things, once made clear, don't need anything more. Around 10 a.m., just as I was wrapping up a meeting with the department heads and scribbling notes, my phone started buzzing again in my pocket. But here's something I've come to understand: some folks don't change. Especially the ones who never thought they were wrong to begin with. I still live in the same place, still go to work, still go through my day like I always have. The only real change? I've stopped being an emotional ATM, always ready to give, always ready to get hurt, all in the name of family duty. And if there's one lesson this whole mess taught me, it's this. Family isn't supposed to be a place where people toss around kindness like a debt and call it love. Real family? They see your worth whether you're offering something or not. They value you as a person, not a paycheck. Not a fallback plan. Not the person they reach out to only when all the other doors are locked. Before I wrap this up, I want to leave you with something to think about. Was I wrong for not going back? For saying no when my parents asked for $2,000 a month, even now, when they're older, and yes, they raised me? I used to believe we could work anything out. That no matter what, my family would come through. But after being made to feel like an outsider in my own house more times than I can count, I made a choice, to break the pattern, once and for all. Was I too harsh? Maybe. Or maybe. I just finally started respecting myself, right when I needed to most. I'd really like to hear your thoughts. If you've ever been through something like this, or even if you haven't, I'd love to know where you stand. Drop your opinion down below, whether you're on my side or not. And if this story hit home in any way, please consider subscribing to support the channel. There are so many stories out there still waiting to be told, still waiting for someone to listen. Take care of yourself. And I hope to see you in the next one. Thanks for sticking with me all the way to the end. And hey, if you haven't subscribed yet, go ahead and click that button and hit the bell so you won't miss the next real-life story that might just sound a little too familiar.